Hey everybody, today we're going to take a detailed look at the mixing section and the ins and outs section inside of Ableton Live. So when we're referring to the mixer section, we're referring to this little box here. And you can see down here this little M that will either hide or display the mixing section. So if you cannot see it, go ahead and press that. Now, if you're looking at Ableton in the different view, you can press the M and it will drop it away, and pressing it again will make it appear. So this is a video that was requested by one of my viewers, so they wanted to get a better understanding of this mixing section, and I'm also going to talk about the ins and outs section. So I/O here will open up the ins and outs, and we'll also speak about that. But for now, we'll drop it away, and we're just gonna discuss this section here. So we have currently got 4 channels in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and click these. Oops, I've pressed caps lock. I'm going to go ahead and delete these guys, just so we're dealing with one audio channel, so we're just looking at one version of the mixing section. And then if I press tab and come over to the other view, you can see I've just got one channel and the mixing section down here. So the first thing is this number 1. Okay, so if I go ahead and create another audio channel, for some reason that took a while, you can see that this one is now labeled 2. So the number is just representing which channel it is. So this is the first channel inside of my Ableton project. And if I click on it, when it's not yellow, it's deactivated. So I've just deactivated that channel right now. And if I went and I put a sample in here, so let's just quickly find a sample. Foley Xbox turning on. Okay, cool. If I press play, there's no audio, and you can see that the fader is responding, but it's grayed out. So that means that no audio is actually coming through to our speakers or the master channel. So if I go ahead and turn that on, that channel is now enabled. Cool. So that's the first thing. The number represents what channel it is. So this is the first channel, and then whether it's yellow or grey indicates whether it's turned on or off. So maybe you've got a channel here and you've decided that I'm not entirely sure whether this sound fits the vibe of my track, but I don't want to delete it. So I'm just going to disable the channel and maybe come back and review it when I've got a fresh set of ears or whatever. So moving along, next we've got the solo button. So let's open up a new channel, and then let's get the kitchen drawers and we'll chuck them in there. So I'm able to play both of these at the same time. So if I select, you're going to hear everything happening at once. And then I can press the S button, and that's going to solo just this channel. So you can see channel 2 is soloed. So if I turn that off, you can hear both again. And what I'm able to do is I'm actually able to solo multiple things. So just to give you an example, I can hold control, I can press S, and then I can press S on the other one. So I would be soloing them both. And you're able to solo as many as you like, and as soon as you do it to more than one thing, technically it's no longer soloing, but you get what I mean. So that's just how you can listen simply just to one channel and not have everything else. So maybe you can just identify something. Maybe you could come in here and you can make some EQ cuts to that sound, and then you could say, all right, well, now that's good. I'm going to unsolo it, and then I'm going to listen to it amongst the rest of the mix. Here we've got our record arm. So this is how we would arm the channel to start recording into it. And I've covered recording arm in previous videos. I'm not going to get into that now because I don't think it's necessary. And then we have this 0 here. Okay, so the 0 is the volume fader. So if I grab that and I pull it all the way down, it goes to negative infinity. So that's infinitely quiet, so to speak. So there's no sound. If I right click and click return to default, 0 is by default the let's say the loudest setting, but then you can also boost up to +6 as well if you'd like. So These meters, when you're looking at these, they work on both peak levels and RMS levels. So think of peak as though the maximum volume the sound will get overall, the loudest points of that audio, and then RMS, think of it as like the average volume across a period of time. So the peak is, it could just be like suddenly, boom, here's something very loud, and it's going to measure how loud that gets, whereas RMS won't really respond to the peaks. It's kind of going to more like even things out. So when we're looking at this, you can see the peak is here, and then the sort of brighter green is indicating the RMS. So you can see that they are set at different levels. Cool. So yeah, that's your volume fader. You can adjust your volume by pulling that up or pulling it down. Now these faders do go +6, and there is a lot of headroom in this digital world before things really do digitally distort, but it's always a good rule of thumb to absolutely not have your fader anywhere near the red. So if I go and push that all the way up, you see it's coming up into the red here. That doesn't necessarily mean it is digitally clipping, but at the same time, we want to maintain we want to maintain the peace of mind that we are going to look after our signal and we're going to gain stage correctly. And I've done a video on gain staging, so you'll be able to find that. I think it was the last video that I put out. So if you don't know what gain staging is, go and check it out, because it's basically just making sure that you're very accurately making changes to your music and to your sounds, and you're doing it very consciously, and you're not you can always distort sounds, but you do it on purpose, and that's kind of like the idea that I'm getting at. You don't push everything really loud and then have like this nasty digital distortion. So next we've got this C here. Now the C is representing center. So we're working with with Ableton, and audio channels by default are just stereo. There is no such thing as like a mono channel and a stereo channel. So stereo is referring to the stereo field, so your left and your right speaker, and then the differences between what those left and right speakers are playing. So if we zoom in and look at this waveform, you can see actually the waveform is identical on either sides. So this would indicate to me that it was a mono sample. So it was sound that was sampled from just one single microphone, not a team of microphones getting a stereo field. So we can still pan this even though it would technically be mono, so we can go ahead and play it. So we can pan it out to the left, so this would move the sound a majority to the left, or we could pan it to the right, so it would move that sound a majority to the right. So we're starting to create a stereo field. So if we were to play both of these at the same time, maybe we could have one on our left, so this first channel can be panned to the left and the second channel can be panned to the right, and we can hear what's happening there. If you don't have a good setup with speakers and stereo, then maybe listening to that on a set of headphones might be more appropriate, because you'll really hear the difference in the stereo field. And you're able to right click these and you're able to select split stereo pan modes. So this is a different way of panning your sound. So you can actually say, all right, well, I want let's say 30 to the left, and then maybe we'll do like 10 to the right, and you can create you can see on the fader here, so the two strips on the fader are basically representing, that's the left channel and that's the right channel, and then you can see the volume on there are different. That's because I've sent more to the left, so the left has got more signal coming through it than the right, because I've only sent a little bit less to the right. So this is balancing basically the volumes at which it will come through both speakers. Now Ableton, I believe that even in Ableton 10, their panning still isn't the same as how it works in other digital audio workstations. So basically, the algorithm that Ableton uses, they don't use the typical panning algorithm, or they use something different. So when you move the sound to one speaker, it maintains the same volume rather than the volume slowly decreasing as it gets out to the side. So on mixing consoles or these sorts of things, when you pan stuff to the side, if you imagine your stereo field, like you're looking at a stage maybe, and you've got a piano on one side and a guitarist on the other, and the vocalist in the middle, the vocal is in the center channel, and it's very, very sort of loud. And then as you pan off to the right, you've got the guitar, and it's coming from the left, but the volume is not quite as pronounced because it's sort of off to the side. It's not front and center and kind of, let's say, smacking you on the face. So this is something to bear in mind. And if you are using Ableton's panning, then you should certainly find out the differences between that and true stereo panning. There are some brilliant free plugins that offer this, so I'll just quickly show you one. Stereo Tool by Flux. This you can pull in, and their panning that they've got here, left and right, is using the algorithm that I'm saying that Ableton lacks. They may have fixed that, though. I haven't read up on it, unfortunately. So they're the most basic features of this mixing console or mixing section. And then we've got the sends and the returns. So we are able to take part of this signal or all of the signal, and we're able to send it to another channel. So we can basically split this audio into two, and we can say, all right, this audio is going to come out and it's going to go to the master channel. But then I'm going to split off a little bit of a version of it, so I can go all the way up to 0 decibels. So I could send exactly 100% of this audio into also this channel. So this little volume fader here is representing the A reverb channel, and then this is representing the B delay channel. Okay, so these are sends, and enabled in order to make more sends, you can right click and you can go insert return track. So these have a couple of different names. They can be called buses, they can be called returns, they can be called send channels, and unfortunately it gets a little bit confusing when you're trying to get your head around all of it. But basically, if I'm referring to a send, a return, or a bus, I'm referring to these channels down here, okay? And typically, you would be putting some sort of effect on that channel. So in this case, it's a reverb. And if I were to send this, you'll be able to hear the reverb being acted on it. You'll see that there'll be an audio signal coming in here. And you can hear that reverb's applied. So if I turn that off, you'll no longer hear the reverb. So what it's doing is it's taking a certain part of that signal and it's feeding it into that channel, and that's really as simple as it needs to be. And we can put all sorts of effects on here. It doesn't have to be a reverb, like I said, delay, all sorts of other things that you could do. You could distort it, so you could keep the clean signal coming through, and then you could distort a bit of the signal, and then they get sort of mixed together. And all of these sorts of techniques are great ways of enhancing your sound in a conscious with a conscious mindset. So that's that, and that's all of the mixing section done. So if we just quickly tab over here and we recap, this is our mixing section in this view, and as you can see, this is the like I said, A reverb. If I come back over here, this is the A reverb, the B delay, and then the C return. Cool. So that's it's just a different way of representing it, and obviously this volume fader is different to the way it looks up here. Right click, reset to default. This is going to show us our peak level, so we can reset the peak level, so we can kind of see how loud our sample is. We've got the solo, we've got the record, and then we've got the panning left and right, and then this little arrow in the center will reset it back to the middle. Cool. Alright, so that is the mixing section. let's have a look at the ins and outs. So we can drop them away, or we can show them with the I/O, and if I press tab and come over to this section, this is how they display here, or we can drop them away. All right, so I'm going to look at it in this section. I'm going to get rid of my returns, so they're gone, and I'm going to get rid of my mixer, so that's gone, and we're going to bring the ins and outs here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 parameters to explain. Okay, so the first parameter is basically where is our signal coming from into the channel. So we can set it up so that we can take audio from another channel inside of Ableton, or we can have it so that it's monitoring or it's listening for the external in. So external in is going to take an audio sample if I drop it on there, or some sort of instrument if I'm using a MIDI channel. External in is the default setting for something that's already established on the channel, and that's what it's listening to. But it also could be my voice coming in on this microphone. And so we've got the external in. So it's listening for, let's say, external devices sending audio into Ableton. And then if I click this and drop it down, you can see I've got my 1 or 2 input, and then my 1 and 2 input separately. So this is a stereo pair, and this is a mono. So that's my left and that's my right, and it's just that content. And if you have a sound card that has more than 2 ins and outs, you're going to see a lot more options here. So I'm only seeing that because that's all I've got on my sound card. And I could select that, and then I could come over here and I could open up the mix section. I could press record and then record up here, and I could record my voice in because technically it's external in. But that's an explanation of that. But maybe I want to create a new channel and I want to take the audio from this channel. What I'm able to do is I'm able to click on external in. I can say, okay, well, I want the kitchen drawer to be coming into this channel. So I'm going to click that, and then I get the option of doing it pre-effects, post-effects, or post-mixer. Okay, so pre-effects, if I select that, I want the audio coming from this channel before it goes into any of the effects that I've got down here. Okay, or I want the audio coming from this channel, and just to clarify, I want the audio coming from this channel, the kitchen drawer, to be fed into this third audio channel. So this is why I've set up my routing. So the routing, I want audio coming into this channel from kitchen drawer, and then I want that audio either pre-effects, so before it goes into this EQ and before it goes into this compressor, or post-effects, so after it's gone into the compressor and the EQ, so once it comes out the end, or post-mixer, so that's after everything basically. So that's the final version, and let's say that that's what we want. So I want it to come into this channel. So if I press play, you can see the audio's coming in here, but nothing's coming in. So that's because I need to select in. So this is my monitoring section. So I want to monitor the audio coming in, and I want to have that displayed here. Cool. So if I have that set to auto, it's not automatically doing it because it doesn't really understand what it's supposed to be doing. So I need to say, I want that input. I want whatever's coming into this channel to be coming through, and then where is it going? In this case, it's going to the master. Sweet. So this is incoming signal. Where along that sort of audio chain do I want to take that incoming signal? Do I need to monitor it directly in, or will I let it automatically monitor it, or will I turn monitoring off altogether? So monitoring is whether I can hear it on my monitors, whether I'm listening to it. And then finally, where is that signal gonna go once it's come into this channel? So by default, you can see all of these are set up to go to the master. Okay, But what I could do is I could open up my return channels. I'm just going to go ahead and delete these. I'm going to right click and make a new return channel, and I'm going to say bus. Cool. And I'm going to say I only want this audio channel, or well, let's use this one for example. I only want this audio channel to go to my sends. And again, this is my send or my return or my bus. I can open that up. I can open up my mixer section so I can see my my ability to send some of this audio signal here, okay? But I'm not going to turn that up yet. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I'm soloing it. Cool, so we're using a lot of the functions that we've just talked about. So let's play, and you can see this is blue, and I can't hear anything. That's because I've set it up that it's going to go to the sends only, but then I actually haven't said that I want whatever percentage of the sound to go to the send. So if I come here and I turn that up, now we're going to hear it coming through on this bus. Cool. So now we can hear that audio. On the bus, we can also select where we send the audio to. So we could then feed the audio back into this channel. And if we select input, we have that audio coming in, and it's quite loud. It's getting duplicated a couple of times because we've got it set up to come into that channel twice. Cool. So now we can set that back to the master. We're going to send the audio into the master, and the master is the final stage. Basically, it's going to add all of the sounds together. Cool. But we can set up our routing to be whatever we would like it to be. So if I can send it back to the kitchen drawer, and I can have a whole bunch of channels feeding into one another, and maybe then sending it out to be processed in another way, and we can make all of these elaborate sort of signal chains. So this is a bit of an example of the ins and outs, the power that you have with routing audio. And I hope that's a clear sort of representation of how you're able to use it to send certain things from one channel to another. I haven't necessarily gotten into why you'd be doing a lot of that. I just wanted to show how you would do it, and your imagination is going to start ticking over for what you can send it to where, and then process it in a weird way, and then feed it back somewhere else. And yeah, basically you can go pretty wild. So hopefully that's useful for you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my videos. If you'd like to support the channel, go ahead and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook. You can find my music pages in the links in the comment description below. You can jump on our Discord server. I've got the link for that down below. And I just want to alert you guys about Steemit, DTube, and DSound. So if you guys are into cryptocurrency, I've got links for all of that down in the video description. I've got profiles on there, so jump on and follow me. And these platforms look really promising and look like they're really going to change things for content producers. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video.